It's the Monaghan Way in association with Northern Sound and myself, Sean McCaffrey, episode 22, and we're bringing you a special one here again. So we've travelled out to the Tyholland club just outside of Monaghan town here, and our reason for travelling today, well, it's very special because Karl O'Connell, of course, he called time on his inter-county career, and we've been afforded the opportunity to sit down and have a chat with him. All-star success, Ulster success, representing Ireland, and remember, he only took up Gaelic football when he was 17. We've once again taken ourselves out. We're here, actually, we're inside in a gym. I don't like time dating anything, but I should make reference that Storm Amy is passing over us at the moment, so fairly heavy rainfall out there. That's why we took to the covers. And we're in the gym of the Tyholland club here, and our reason for that is because I'm delighted to say I'm joined by Karl O'Connell, former inter-county player, we have to say now, but still club player with Tyholland here. And of course, he did announce his retirement from inter-county football after 12, 13, 14 seasons at the helm. And Karl, first things first, thanks a million for inviting us out here. As I said, we've took to the gym. I was saying to you, this is the home from home for you, probably for the majority of the time.
Yeah, no, you're more than welcome, Sean. Appreciate being invited onto the podcast, if you want to call it. But yeah, absolutely, a home away from home is if it's not the home house, it's Cloughan. But then once that season's finished up, it's here. Like so. We've been in the gym here. That's just been probably around now the last, I'd say probably 16 months, and a great gym out of two. And a lot of credit goes back to Darren Smith, Siobhan McKenna, and Paula Sherry, to name a few, but many, many more for it. Like so, it's one of the we've two great pitches. We have the gym here. We have a lovely community centre as well. So it's some great facilities around here that is, and it's always nice to come down to here.
Oh, absolutely. And before we delve into your inter-county career and even that was achieved with the club, just speaking of the club, it's amazing how clubs have developed over the years. Even from, I'd imagine, when you started here, dare we say, as a 17-year-old, and we'll talk about that in a moment or two, to have seen what's been done, the development of the new pitch, the laying of the old pitch here, and these facilities as well. Like it's nearly an expectation now at club level to have this.
Yeah, absolutely, and I suppose that goes with the generation that's coming up as now as well. Like we have a good few young players here who have just come from that generation who've just have just took it all in of kind of the strength and condition of it. So it has been good timing for us. Obviously, work was done separately to this from I suppose the previous senior teams I was on with Tyholland. We didn't have a gym, but the work was being done, and I suppose you just had to kind of accept it that way. But in fairness to Darren and Darren Smith, this is one of it was his ambitions there to get this, and an unbelievable job he has done on it. Because we've got 3 racks here, we got a lovely kind of running track here, Astro pitch, kind of 2 lanes, and there's a heap of dumbbells and plenty of free weights as well. Like so, it's. Absolutely, we probably felt, again, we were probably lacking behind. We probably didn't think about it as much. But as I said, with Darren has come on board, he's just kind of upped it a wee bit, and as well, it's compliments to the previous chairman, like obviously Kevin Kavanagh as well. We've 2 magnificent pitches out there. We've again the usual that's in most grounds as well. We have a walkway. And there's plenty of activities for everyone here, which is great to see. It's not just for the underage. Like we have a lot of people who are that are probably now haven't been out running in a while or engaging in an activity that they're actually running around here or walking, and I think that's it's a great way for them as well. So it's big compliments to the club, and again it's just hopefully we'll start to reap the rewards of it, from the future generations coming up.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. And those that wouldn't be familiar maybe with Tyholland on the Armagh Road, just outside of Monaghan town here, you're on the hinterland nearly of Monaghan. So I know players will be coming from the surrounding area, and there'd be quite a rivalry there with the Harps, obviously, inside in the town as well. You came from junior up to intermediate. Is there an intermediate club here in the county at the moment? And again, I would argue there would be senior clubs around the country that wouldn't have the facilities that you have here.
Yeah, like it's a strange one because if you, in fairness to all clubs around Monaghan here, anywhere you go, you're guaranteed like an unbelievable pitch, like a top class pitch. And I suppose, thankfully, unfortunately for my travels, with the with I suppose where the county team has took me through work has taken me as well. That there's a lot of places there that their pitches would be just okay, you know, and that's me being respectful. Like some of them they're very tough to play on. They're hazards, you know. But in Monaghan, like the standard of pitches from junior to senior is just unbelievable, and obviously that's great to hear. That I suppose there's some clubs there that probably wouldn't have, I suppose, the facilities like this here, like, but it just goes back to, like, clubs are just constantly developing now, and we're just kind of in that culture where I suppose S&C is probably, it is an important part of kind of the makeup of a football player, but I suppose the rest of it is really out in the pitch there, you know, where you make up the rest of it. But yeah, it is. As I said, it's great to hear because, like I said, it probably wasn't so long ago that we probably didn't have the facilities like this here. And again, it's just a big compliments to the current committee and the previous one before that as well, you know. So, and just looking forward to see what else comes along.
Oh, absolutely. 17 years of age was when you first arrived on the doorsteps of this club, Karl O'Connell, and where it has taken you in that time. It's such a unique and fascinating story because here we are, we're talking about strength and conditioning for young players coming in now, development squads and all sorts. And yet it took a knock on your door to bring you down to the G8 club here and get you involved in the game. How did that come about?
Yeah, like, obviously, so I keep being told of this, I suppose, this story, like, but and I've always been quick to kind of push it to the side, you know, because I've never, to be honest, I don't really think about it too much, like, but I suppose it does deserve its recognition, mainly from the I suppose, where we're sitting here, from the people who got me down here, from the managers, particularly at a vital period in my career. Here it all started, you know. Obviously, it's well known that I've come from an athletic background, and that was just, I've made I suppose, my core group of friends from down in Glaslough Harriers, you know, the likes of Shane Trainer, Ronan McNally, Ryan McKenna, you know, and we, again, obviously it was just the running at the time, but, you know, shortly made the trip into the SEM, and it was when the conversations kind of start of from Ronan, just would I come down, and I thought about it, and kind of nibbled at the idea, but at the end there was no interest for me really, but I suppose they caved in after a few bargainings from Roland that was promised and guaranteed for me, but still waiting to receive them. It was, but he asked me down, and I suppose it was probably a good time thinking about it, because it was in the minors. I forget what division it was in. I think it was all the one, if I can remember. But you were looking at probably a lot of clubs were joining up with other clubs. You know, yeah. We joined up with Aero at the time, and it was just a perfect balance, you know, of when I look back on it, you know, I suppose where I played, it kind of suited me because, again, it was just a new start for them as well. And I suppose what Aero brought as well, they brought some magnificent players over, the likes of Mark McCaffrey, Dara McCluskey, Johnny McMahon, Mark McBride, and many more, and then the likes of ourselves. So there was probably a nice balance of defence to the forwards there that mixed. And I suppose it came down. It wasn't all plain sailing as everybody thinks. There was a lot of time invested in me. There was a lot of persistence, not only in myself, but obviously from management and players around me. I remember the first game down here very well. It was, again, I forget the name of the team, but it was between Ahabog and Latin. I think it was St. Mary's, I think they were called. But, like, and if you want to see a kind of comedy show, that was the night to be at it. It was just, of all the kind of the good things that I felt was going well leading up to it, all the training, a couple of challenge matches. But I suppose, you know, it's the reality of any sports when you get into the kind of serious nature of it. It's when the nerves kick in, and as I said, it was a comedy show, and I did take a it took a blow in confidence there. But like anything else, and in the GA world, you know, games come quickly around, and I suppose after that kind of nightmare started, it just went from strength to strength. But more importantly, as I said, we two great coaches. We had Dwayne McCaffrey, who's a very good coach. We had Owen McNally as well. Roland's father, like, again, very, very, very personal coach, very approachable, and again, as I just took to it like a sponge, you know, and I was very happy to as well. Like, there was again strange moments as the year went on, but it was just a case of I'm a big believer in timing, and it was just a case of finding the right home at the right time, and that's what it was. And then I suppose things just went on. The year finished out. Probably took me a year maybe to come back to the senior team, because the way I was looking at it was just for minors and that was it. But the year went out, and then I decided, you know what, sure, I'll go back for seniors, and I think it was a giant after that. Then kind of rest kind of rolls on after that.
I was just going to say the rest is history.
Rest is history, yeah.
What amazes me is that the skills within Gaelic football is being taught now. And I know your own young family's getting involved in the game, so they're coming in and they're learning the pick up, they're learning the solo, the hand passing and that. You were coming in and learning that at 17 years of age. Now, I know you had a sort of a sporting background. Soccer and rugby would have played a part in it. Obviously, you were very athletic, you were running. So physically you had it, pace-wise you had it and that. What skill did you find the most difficult, maybe, to adapt to when you did make the turnover?
I think the obvious one was the soloing. Like, now, and I say that in a way that I'm not saying that I couldn't solo. I could certainly solo, but it was probably realizing that as fast as I could go, I couldn't solo. Like, I suppose solo as fast as I could go was probably the best way to say it. That was probably the biggest problem. You know, obviously, I hear along the way, you know. You still see it to this day, like you're going into a lot of tackles there. So sometimes you got out of them, and that was probably the worst reward you could get, because you go in for more and next thing you're turning over. Like, but I suppose that was the skill that kind of had to adapt it quickly and realize that, okay, I can move it here, but I can't solo as quick as I want to run. And that was the patience of it. Like, that was, you know, where I found probably the biggest challenge, because you could overdo it, I could force it, and you'd be still remind yourself, but you'd find you'd be doing it again the next play. So it was just, again, the right timing. I was probably allowed to make those mistakes.
Yeah.
You know, and I suppose it kind of gave me that kind of breathing, that room, that room to breathe, to I suppose to kind of to make that change and to be fully responsible and accountable for it. So. And I knew, again, there's no better way. You know, I still did it. Going into a senior game, you know, and you don't be long finding out that that's not the way to do it. One, probably from the senior players, but here you'll get yourself kind of quickly waking up in a senior game.
I was going to say that, you adapted obviously over time, and no doubt, as well as you adapting the game, I'm not going to say the game, the team and the coaches adapted to you also as well, because the one attribute obviously that you brought to the game was your speed. That's coming from your athletic background. So they knew, well, if we can get the ball to Karl, he can carry, he can move, one or two solos laid off and let Karl get to the end of it again, as opposed to that became a big feature of the game for you.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, I'm not going to shy away from it. Like, the skill set that I brought, and that was mainly probably thought of at the start was the speed. And you know, and I suppose it was a nice combination of, obviously I had the speed, I enjoyed taking players on. I think I quickly became smart about it once I was able to learn, you know, that's between the solo and the speed. And I'm always, as I said, like I love taking people on. I'm a big believer on it. Particularly, I suppose, when I was starting up again, there was a lot more space. It was really kind of man to man. And probably just at the time as that football was being played, and then as it progressed in kind of more defensive situation, I had a certain skill set that was perfect for it. And I suppose that time allowed me, I suppose the other skills, not to say that I was pretty poor at them, but allowed me to develop them a bit more and get better at them, you know. So So, like I said, it's just good timing. You know, there's obviously areas that I needed to work on, but I suppose with that certain skill set of speed, it allowed me to kind of put more focus on it. Because the reality of it, unless something drastically happened, I wasn't going to lose the speed. So it kind of gave me that time to kind of work on the kick pass, and not just that, but looking up, you know, to see a kick pass, if it's on, you know, the fist pass and all the basic stuff. And once, again, I know it's easier said than done, or it may sound silly, but you master the basics, the rest will come.
Well, absolutely, yeah, and I to see that even with young people nowadays, I say if you can do the skills of the game without thinking of having to do them, they become just a natural
100%,
extension of
yeah.
yourself, like,
Absolutely.
and that's what it is. It's interesting. Soccer and rugby played an early part in your sporting endeavours as well. I don't know, picture you had to be on the wing. I take it, was it, or what ways did you play there?
I wasn't. Yeah, it was on the wing. I wasn't a centre or a full back. I was just thrown on the wing and
Speed.
throw the ball out the Karl. But no, again, reason why, like I just highlighted there, I felt like I was an evasive player. I loved just kind of going around players, taking players on. You know, a lot of times I had joy, a lot of times I didn't. You know, but again, that's part and parcel. Again, another place, really enjoyed the rugby. Again, good cycle of players that were there. We David O'Callaghan, who is an unbelievable player. He went on to represent Ireland, I think, from an under-17s to under-20s point of view. With Stevie Land from Toom, who was just an unbelievable, an all-round great athlete, to be honest. He was a great footballer, a great hurler, and a very good rugby player. And his brother likewise as well. And then we had the young Davy McGarriger from Ballybay, and again, an unbelievable just insight to see what he was able to do. Although I played with him a few times, it was just, for me at that time, it was a great experience because he was a well-known name. He was a very good player, and more importantly, again, you know, his father, Davy Senior, a person who was very hard to say no to. He was just unbelievable. The love for sport, for rugby, it was just unbelievable, and his knowledge of it, and again, he got the best out of me. He was a big help for me as well, and a person I found really hard to say no to. There was times there he'd call me out of the blue because he was stuck for a player, and I was happy to oblige to it and answer the call for him, because again, it was just a respect I have for him. And but again, I thoroughly enjoyed it. Really enjoyed it. It was a great learning and exposure for me as well. And then soccer, again, big fan of soccer. I was very happy to play my trade if it was a Sunday league or if it was Glasgow Villa when I could, when I was about. And I think I broke my ankle playing soccer for Glasgow Villa, I think around 2003, and it was not that that injury turned me off. It certainly didn't, but I think it was just felt right. Let's try something else here.
Yeah.
And I remember sitting at home, and this is before I was with Tyholland, and I remember just sitting at home, and Monaghan were playing Armagh in that, I think, 2003 championship.
Yeah, that's right.
Also championship, and I remember just watching the game, and I suppose again the timing of it. I remember that's just fair play. That's some result. Although I wasn't keen on the Gaelic at the time. Not I don't mean in a bad way, but probably just wasn't a particular interest to me.
Yeah.
But I remember the game so well. I remember Paul Finlay just kicking scores over from everywhere. I remember Vinny playing, and more importantly, I remember Rémi Ronahan playing as well. And at the end, he'd whipped the jersey off and threw it into the crowd, and I was thinking, what's this madman act like? And little behold, I had the pleasure to play with him then, and along with many other players from Tyholland as well. So it's it's here looking back, talking about it here now. The more kind of open up about it probably is unique, but the person I am, I'll worry about it on a later day.
It's amazing. You talk about 2003. 10 years later, you're in an Ulster final in Clones, and you're lifting the Anglo-Celt Cup, and followed it up obviously 2 years later then as well. You talked about yourself and that game and that first game with the minors here, and you can reflect and look back maybe on what was it doing here, what was it getting involved in. You'd never have envisaged that point where would it bring you, and that we'd be sitting here today now talking about you as being a former inter-county player and a former, we should say, Irish player as well, obviously in the compromise rules?
Yeah, no, absolutely not. Like, and I think that's, I suppose, again, coming late to the sport, I never envisioned it, and it's probably, sounds probably a wee bit selfish, because I know there's a lot of people out there, and even young ones probably just are mad to get it. And I suppose my route to it is probably different to others. Like, but hopefully it's a sign for people that just keep hammering away, you'll get it. But no, absolutely never visioned this. It was far from my thinking, to be honest, when I was down here on a Tuesday night, of running around like a real headless chicken. But thankfully, like I said, the timing of things, I took the year out then after the minor season, came back. It was probably 2 years that I got really involved in it, and the timing of that again, with Declan Lockman and Colm Donnelly, who managed us in the 2005 season. And again, that's where it just kind of kicked off. A lot of things just aligned with each other. I was being able to play with, like I just highlighted, there are many players from Tyholland, the likes of, obviously, the obvious ones is Gary McQuaid and Raymond Ronahan. But we had Sarah Ronahan, with Greg Ronahan, with Pater Farley, with Brendan McQuillan, Owen Rowe Kavanagh. Obviously, my friends there, Shane and Shane trainer Rona McNally, who I took a lot of pride in. And there's many players there that played that year as well. That it'll be just too many to name, but it's there was just a good feel about the team. But in his own way, Declan Lockman's own way, he was encrypted about it. But he talked about some players there that he honestly believed that would make a county team. But again, me dumb to it, didn't realise he was talking about me. But it was only as the year went on that, he says that he kind of mentioned to me that's who I'm talking about, and probably a wee bit more of a fear was on me then, realising. But again, it was a very good year. We won the intermediate championship, and but it's just being around him, I suppose, was just kind of thinking maybe I could, but at the same time, I didn't think more of it. It was 2005 again. Monaghan were in the league final. I think it was at Division 2B, and again, a great day that year. I'm losing track here. Actually, it was 2007 when we won the intermediate championship, and 2005 was the league final.
Yeah.
And but that's 2007 was when I was on the senior team, and getting to play with the likes of kind of Gary McQuaid and Raymond Ronan after seeing them in 2005 was a big boost to me. And with Declan Lockman, I suppose it gave me that belief. But as you said, it was probably 2012 where I got the first call up from Eamon McEnany. At first, I thought it was a joke, but ended up being true.
I was just going to say, I was doing the maths on this. It was just shy of 6 years, I think, after you'd taken up the game as a minor. You didn't come through, obviously, inter-county minors. You didn't come through under 21 panels, it would have been at that time.
No.
You were just parachuted straight into a senior team.
That was it. Now, I had a trial for, I think, the 21s. I got a call from Seamus McEnany, and again, I think we were playing in Darver. We played loud. Again, as everything was still kind of green to me, did I take much notice of it or appreciation? I probably didn't. And I played, but I was a good bit off, and I just kind of accepted this, because it's just kind of my upbringing. I remember just chatting to Seamus after us, and again, the first thing he said, he was just, "You're too late, kid," so, but as here, shortly after that, I suppose Eamon McEnany took a chance on me, and that was just the start of the Monaghan career then from that, in 2012.
And what it started was 30 seconds, I think, is it? Antrim, the goal.
Yeah, here, again, and I suppose that's when just the stuff there that we just kind of mentioned was did I take it serious? Did I have the full belief? But it was only when I got in with Eamon and again seeing, I suppose, the cut of the players that I end up playing with for a long time was just like, all right, I'm here now.
Yeah.
And I remember just talking to a local down here, and I remember he just, again, I had the doubts with the call-up, but I remember just saying, it was a simple thing. It's a simple thing that everybody says, but I remember he just said it to me. He says, here, if there's no way you're not good enough if you're not called up in that squad.
Yeah.
And I remember just, it kind of settled me a wee bit, but and again, it's a simple word or simple line that was said to me, and I suppose I took it really well, and I just went into the year. I says, you know what, I'll just give everything. So, yeah, like, obviously didn't start out the way I wanted to, but back then, the championship, from once the league was over to waiting for the championship, you had a good break. So I just kind of visioned myself, you just go at it here, and I kind of got myself in, and the challenge games went really well, and I just kind of thinking, fuck, he can't, there's no way he can drop me here, but thankfully I got in. Very hot day in Clonus. I remember Desi Moan just chatting before the game. He says, don't be making any silly runs, just to keep, get the breather, get the 10 minutes in, get the hold of the ball. And in fairness, Desi was probably right, but I think Jinxie kicked the ball into Christy McGuinness, and I just saw just the path from me, and I just said, you know what, Desi, you can actually go do one today, and I ran down, and little behold, I was running. I started to cut in towards the goal. I realised where I was. I realised Paul Finlay ran by me, and I was like, right, I'm going to have to try and do something here. Took an ugly enough shot for the first one, and I suppose with a bit of luck it bounced back into me path and just got it in, and it was fist pumps per galore after that then.
Absolutely, yeah. It's beautiful the way you describe it there, because we can clearly all remember it, and it was a sort of, I know at the time as well, who's this boy? There definitely was an element of that.
Oh,
you just quite literally burst onto the scene.
Yeah, 100%. I'm nearly sure I could hear people during the parade, the walking around the parade. It's like, who's this skinny boy? So, but yeah, like, I suppose, and again, Clonus, like, as much as it was my first time playing there, well, probably second time but first time for Monaghan. It's a big thing for me. My although born in Dublin, father from Dublin, mum from Clonus. Obviously, the stories of Clonus just growing up was always in me, and again, just to have that privilege to play on it there, and then as years went on, to play it on it so many times, it was a big achievement for me. And again, just going into it, just the recognition of just playing there was a big thing for me.
Absolutely. It's fascinating, Karl, listening to you. There's a lot of young players now, and they have the dream of playing for their county, pulling on the jersey, being there on the big day. And sometimes the dream can overwhelm your ability to be able to do it. Listening to yourself, you said it, you were a little bit green, you were coming in late. You probably were, I suppose, I'm going to say, a bit self-conscious, thinking, what am I doing here? I'm a sort of out of place. That word to you to say, well, you wouldn't be there unless they knew you were good enough to be there. Perhaps maybe that took a lot of pressure off you, that you just approached it as, well, this is happening one day at a time.
Absolutely. Like, as I said, I remember it so well. We were just in the corner of the bar. It was during the day, so there wasn't much carry on. But I just remember, as I said, and it just kind of put me at ease more than anything. Like, I wasn't overthinking things, but it just kind of gave me a wee kind of nip just to say, you know what, he's actually right here. So, and then I just knew it was up to myself to kind of give a good account of myself, and thankfully it did. Like, as I said, good timing, like, as I said there, from the league back then, you had good 6 to 8 weeks to prepare for a championship, and that's plenty of time to get into a team. And I found myself in there, and I just took it with both hands, because I had that experience of earlier in the year. I felt like I was going really well, but I wasn't being picked. So I kind of realised, right, I'm going to have to, if I'm doing 10 out of 10 at the minute, I'm going to have to do 15 out of 10,
Yeah.
And I just, as I said, I just knuckled down, and a bit of luck probably came along the way as well,
Not looking for names or anything, but would you felt at the time maybe that others that would have been looking for the dream and worked hard, suddenly looking at Karl and going, where's this boy come out of, or he's coming into this team, he's part of this panel. Would you felt that? Would that have been part of it?
I at the time I probably wouldn't have, no, there's no doubt I wouldn't have been thinking that, as I said, like, I'm very easygoing, I've I can and I'm very happy to stick to myself as well at the same time, you know. But I suppose it's looking back, maybe there was, you know, maybe 100%, you know, because like I said, I played the year in minors, and then it was probably a year or two that I was back with the seniors, you know. So looking back, there's probably a couple of players, geez, you know, where does he come from and how did he do that? You know, I've no doubt that some of the players there, like when I joined the panel, were thinking, you know, this year, particularly the senior players, you know. But in saying that, you know, they all welcomed me in. Like Vinnie Corey was just, again, I remember the second training session, we were up in Drumhowen, and Vinnie Corey was a big part of my career, you know, so he took me in with open arms. But along the way, the least I could give back was just full commitment, you know, and that's what you got to do. So it's at least the minimum that you got to do is just full commitment, and if you give that, you've a good chance of putting yourself in a good position, you know. But at least if it doesn't work out for you, at least you could say, you know, you give it a good crack. Like,
Give it a good try. Well, listen, the rest is history. We know it already. When you look what was achieved, Ulster titles, league titles, there's a McKenna Cup in there, and even I said the honour of representing, being part of a squad then in the compromise rules then as well. Like some journey.
yeah, oh, here, unbelievable journey, you know, and obviously, you know, to score a goal on your debut again, like I now, as modest as I normally am, like, but I remember that night. Now there was, I was very happy, like, but again, just kind of just where it happened, as I said, like the likes of always Clonus being talked about in the household from Mom, so it's it was a big thing for me, but an unbelievable journey. Do you know, it don't get me wrong, as much as the career sounds good, there were some ups and downs on it as well. Like I was, obviously we had the great Malachy O'Rourke come in the following year, and do you know, I had to bide my time again for that. Not to say that I took my eye off the ball, but probably just thought, okay, a lot of work is done. Do you know, surely he's seen me from the previous year, but not in a cocky way or a complacent way, but just, okay, you know, just that I can go back to 10 out of 10 here.
Yeah.
But Malachy came in, he had a different idea, and which I totally understand. But it was probably till, you know, again, it was probably till 2014 that I got another good run at it. We made the league final, Division 2 league final. I think I played the 3 or 4 last league games up to it. And I played very well, I thought. But then I remember just getting the phone call before the league final, just saying that I was dropped, and it was tough to take now, because it was just, I knew the final was in Croke Park, but I had to accept it. I took it on the chin, although it was very disappointing. Like, again, you're named out to start, the family's down, the family's talking about, you know, and you just have to suck it up and say, oh yeah, looking forward to it. So, but totally understand the decision was made. We end up winning the league, the title. Came on in the probably a couple of championship games then, probably a wee bit, for a couple of minutes. Came on the 2014 final. Felt like I had a very good impact in the last 15 minutes. Tough one to take the loss, and I had a good feeling that I was going to come on against Kildare in the back door, and I was, again, just a perfect example of being over pumped or over psyched. It was a day like it is today. Rain was just falling down in Croke Park. Really, really overthinking it. Came on probably the start of extra time and took off at the end of first half in extra time. So, and I was just it was back to square one, to be honest. Sean, when as the next year came around, because I just knew, I was like, there's a lot of kind of just belief lost here, and it was just, as the game panned out, like, it was just things just literally millimeters away, that if I got the ball in my hand, what I would have been able to do with it, because the outcome would have been different, but the ball wouldn't stick. I just, as I said, overthought the whole thing, and it was back to square one again in 2015. But thankfully I was able to, I suppose, put the belief back in the management team, and I got in it for a good run of games. And as I said, from the learning from 2012 to 2015 was like, right, this, I'm not giving anybody an opportunity to take this position off me and give a chance for Malachy to drop me. And as the year went on, the belief that the lads gave me, and and that's where it kind of stemmed on. Again, we won it in 2013, but to get to play in one, and to probably feel like you contribute more. You know, I and trust me when I say this, boys in the panel, they do contribute to a lot. Like, you know, when to the team, but it's, you really want to play. Like, that is, you want to play. You want to be in the parade. You want to play. You want to be on the ball straight away. Like, and thankfully I got to do that in 2015, and that was a big moment for me. That's probably the highlight of my career. I would love to see something further in an All Ireland, but that is a big highlight for me, and it was just a box ticked off that I set for myself, and the rest kind of just with the consistency, and I suppose the stuff that I banked, it was always there for the management, and more importantly for my teammates. So there was ups and downs. Don't get me wrong. There was ups and downs, and but thankfully I can look back on them and say that I came through them.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. And it was fascinating. You talked about that little dip, but it's like everything, Karl. I suppose when new management comes in, as you say, they come in with new ideas, and there is never any guarantee, no matter how well you've played or many years of experience you have, if they're thinking different or looking different. And I clearly recall that game in Croke Park against Kildare. I remember serving well. It went to extra time. The two Clontibbert men, Vinny and Connor, combined to set up the winning goal at the end of it. To me, that probably wasn't a game that was going to suit a Karl O'Connell and a speedster on that day. Anyway,
it probably wasn't, you know. Like, but I suppose it was just that was me to, I suppose, get banked in, you know. The reality of it is, it takes time to be an inter-county player, like, you know, and a consistent one. It does. You do have the odd bit of luck there. Sorry, luck is probably the wrong word, but you do get the odd person or player that will come in from the start, from the get-go, and hit the ground running. I suppose perfect example was, I suppose, Dylan Byrne this year, and I suppose you can put Aaron Curry there as well. I suppose when he slotted in, it does happen, you know. But I suppose it does take time. It does. You're talking probably a 3-year period of kind of patience, and it's up to you to convince the management that's right. He will come good. And I suppose that's what. Again, it was another learning curve for me. I knew I was going to get on in Croke Park compared to the league final. Coming on to a Croke Park against a very good Kildare team, in a backdoor qualifier in a day like that, and a very tough game was, you know, I was probably a wee bit inexperienced, but I could have done it, but I didn't that day, and as I said, it was back to square one, and that was it.
Again, but
absolutely,
that's what happens. It's all about learning. And you touch about the weather here. I can tell you, adding a lovely backdrop to the conversation here. You know that the All Ireland final appearance or even getting there never came about, but probably the second highest accolade that can be given to any Gaelic player in Ireland is an All-Star, and that did come about in 2018. Then to be one of only, it was noted, one of only 10 All-Ireland players to have ever achieved that. That's some accomplishment.
It is absolutely, and it's something I've been asked a lot over the last week there. And again, the person that I am, I shun away from it, but I know it's a great achievement. You know, when the things settle down at the end of the year, when the dust finally settles, the heartache of missing out on something, or being, I suppose, the celebrations of winning something, you know, things do settle down, and it's nice to look back on that I have one of them now. It's funny enough, I may say this, it was I found it very overwhelming at the time, because of just, I suppose, the year that we had. I thought that 2018 team was a wonderful team with great players who played like unbelievably well that year, like so Ryan Wiley, Drew Wiley, Vinnie Corey, like Fintan Kelly, Doran Hughes, and Niall Kearns had an unbelievable year as well, and you know, and it just fell on me, I suppose, for the third recipient, you know, and particularly in defence, where we had the three boys in the name, like Vinnie, Drew and Ryan, who were just absolutely outstanding. And and again, to go back even further, in my own club mate Gary McQuaid, like who should have won one in 2007. Do you know, it fell on me, do you know, who for the club, and I suppose just kind of, not necessarily a doubt, but just kind of the thoughts, geez, my roots compared to those boys' roots who spend their life, you know, it's like maybe they should have got one. And as I said, with particularly Gary McQuaid, 2007, he should have had one. And for a person who, like a big idol for me, particularly in the club, to have one over him, who I feel is a player 10 times better than me. And I don't want to say I'm similar to him, because I'm certainly not, but I always kind of wanted to kind of map the way he played, and there's probably little similarities there, like, but again, to me, he was just an unbelievable player, like, but I found it very overwhelming at start, to be honest, but when I do look back, particularly over the last week, it's a nice achievement. It's great for Monaghan. I do believe there should be more than 10. There should be a lot more than 10. But it's a great honour. It's a great honour for the family, and particularly for the work that was put in from Tyholland here to get me to kind of that level. Who put a lot of belief in me, and I suppose always consistently been there. So it's it's definitely something to look back on. But when I get a wee bit older, a wee bit crankier, I might brag about it a wee bit more. But at the moment, no, it is. It's a great achievement. It's a great achievement. But I'll take it with a pinch of salt.
It's interesting to hear you say that. I don't want to put words in your mouth, but it sounds like you felt guilty about getting an All-Star.
Probably, yeah. It probably, as I said, and again, that's probably, I suppose, the nature of who I am.
Yeah.
Like, don't get me wrong, I really appreciate the individual accolades that I've got, but a lot of times they're not from me. To be honest, but the main reason why they have been is because I have my, I suppose, core people around me there. The likes, obviously, 2018 we had a good contingent down there. Likewise in 23 and in 2016 as well, or 2015 I think. But it did, yeah. There was a bit of guilt there, as I said, like just the quick flashback of kind of my route compared to other people, and I honestly just felt like players were just better than me. Again, as I said, that's what I felt. Because I remember 2007. I remember just the talk of it here, and I was probably one of the most gutted people not seeing Gary's name on it, and there was a flashback to that. But like I said, when I get a wee bit older, I may just look at it a wee bit more and be appreciative.
Absolutely, and rightly so. I know we on the outside look at it as quite an accomplishment, in fairness to you. So it is. You talked then about representing in Ireland and the compromise rules again. Probably one of the bigger honours you can be given as well is to wear your jersey for your country.
Oh, 100%. I'm a big believer in that. And I remember at an early stage growing up in the inner city Dublin of having the belief. It just shows how naive and green you are when you're young, like. But just having the belief that I was going to play for Man United and I was going to play for Ireland. But as I got a wee bit older, a bit more sense came in and realised that was never going to happen. But 100%, no matter what sport it is or whatever representation it is, I think representing your country is the biggest thing you can do. I've said it before. I think it's unfortunately in the GAA world is frowned upon. I feel not from a player point of view, but from people on the outset. I feel like a lot of people don't agree with it. There's probably not enough time put into it. Again, that was the last compromise rules. 2017, it bewilders me why there's not another one. I don't understand. It's an absolute unbelievable honour. And it's the same as the Railway Cup that used to be played. To play for your province, it's a big thing. Like it's another unbelievable competition. Now I know there's a complication around the structure and the season of Gaelic football between the club and the inter-county season, but there are two big honours there, and you could easily turn away people. They might have different ambitions. And that's not me kind of pitting sports against each other. I'm certainly not like that, but an honour to have, and some of the things, most of my stuff, all the accolades are in my mum's house, and there's a couple of frames there of the jerseys. And the Irish jerseys there's a photo of me playing on the pitch. It's definitely, it's a sweet thing.
Oh, absolutely. God bless the mummies. When we chatted to Darren, was similar. No mammy looks after everything, so to do. And you sound similar. You don't have them sitting about maybe to be looking at them, but as time goes on, you will reflect more, and it's only but natural you do that. It's interesting you talked there about dreaming to play for Man United in Ireland. At least Ireland wasn't too bad. I was just thinking when you thought Man United find themselves at the minute, you were better off with Monaghan.
I did all right. I got out in time, but But like I said, I suppose that's the beauty of just young kids these days. There, you just the naivety, the innocence,
Yeah.
And I was one of them. And as I said, I remember just playing soccer and just thinking the idea was just that simple. But again, learned that it's certainly not.
It's certainly not. It was noted in Gabriel Vanagan's statement that you're down as one of the fastest people up in Cloughan. You still, I think, have that accolade. I have to ask, who would have been the closest to you, or who would you have been pitting yourself against, or who would have been pitting themselves against you to see, are we on Karl's pace? Who would you find the biggest, I suppose, not supporter, but competitor to you at that time?
Like here, there's a few. There's some who lasted, some who couldn't, some come and gone. So there's a lot of players there, and it's the ever changing of the game. If anything, I've seen people get quicker. It's this, and particularly the way we have been playing. Like there's a lot of pace and players there. But I'd say probably the two would be kind of that were the closest were probably Rory Beggan and Dermot Malone. So
I think that's tongue in cheek.
Yeah, so two quick players.
And still get the job done.
Yeah,
Enjoy that when
absolutely.
they hear that.
Yeah.
Listen, very briefly, I know we're going to be finishing up. The new rules come in this year. You've had a wonderful opportunity to play them, I know, at club level, but even you got a taste of them at inter-county level. It was interesting, you said when you started out your career, it was man on man. You were able to utilise and make space and run that space. Obviously, blanket defence has come in. That completely choked up the style of play that you would have had. Did you see it going back to how you would have been playing your game with the introduction of the new rules?
Oh yeah, like here. Don't get me wrong. There's the new rules have like I do like a lot. Well, here I like three of them. I think the obviously the tree staying up is a big one. I think the kick out from the keeper, although like it's a tough kick out, it's tough on clubs. Don't get me wrong, but I think that's the big one because it strangles away that kind of a team keeping possession. It brings that unpredictability into a game. And I suppose the solo and go as well, although it's probably not here, it probably is used as much, but there's a lot of change there in there that probably do they need to be changed? I don't know, but I suppose those three ones have made the game from a spectator point of view very interesting. Has it brought there's still a bit of both, there's still a bit of both. Teams I suppose the psychology and the analysis of kind of that mental side of and the zonal approach of teams now is top class, and you're going to get times there where the game will slow down no matter how much of a breakaway there is. So there is that a nice mixture of kind of both, that bit of I suppose the slow attack from the defence being back and then just kind of walking the score. But here, I suppose the beauty of it, there's a lot more kind of that, I suppose the forward thinking, which is the most important thing. Obviously the kick passing is improved, but probably can do a bit more. And there is that bit more kind of open play as well, so there's still kind of a nice mixture of it. But I think what they need to do now is they just need to narrow down of kind of what they want to do and what they're going to stick and keep with, because like I said, if anything, football in my term is got a lot of kind of rule changes. In fairness to these ones, they probably seem to be heading the right way, but there's probably a lot of ones there in there that don't make too much sense, and there's probably a lot where they could have probably just stick with the tree. That's just my opinion. It's definitely made it's made it more kind of that exciting from a fan point of view. But the reality of it is it's putting higher demands on players. I don't think more from a high intensity point of view. Probably there was a lot of a change this year. Distance wise, I think was still the same, but I've no doubt that'll change next year and the year after as well. So it's putting a lot of demand on players. But that's, I suppose it's. I could say that's sports. That's what you want to do. But I think the reality of it is, though, once the inter-county season is, you go back to your club, and it's a big demand. So, it is. It's here. It's definitely made it. It's definitely made it more exciting, and hopefully it continues like that.
Oh, absolutely. You talked about exciting. There was never anything more exciting than seeing Karl O'Connell in full flight going down one side of the field and you knew something was going to happen at the end of it. My thanks to him for joining us here on the Monaghan Way podcast, episode 22 or 21. Do you know, I've even forgotten at this stage what one we're at. Don't forget, you can check out all our previous podcasts on Spotify or on any of the Apple platforms where you pick up on your podcasts, and of course on YouTube streaming as well. My thanks to Karl O'Connell, and my thanks to Tyholland Club for facilitating us today.